Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Reality TV. Unfortunately, the reason why I came on today was because I wanted to talk about the recent unfortunate events that has happened with the Kobe Bryant situation, his family. My heart goes out to them, and my heart goes out to the seven other people who have lost their lives in this tragic, unfortunate accident. My heart just goes out to them, and I was like, it has really inspired me to step up today and tell my story, share my story in hopes that it may inspire people and maybe give people hope that, it's not the end of the world when you lose someone. And I know it's very difficult to understand that now, to say that now and listen to someone say that now, but it is not the end of the world when you lose someone, even though it may feel that way. Time will heal the hurt that you're experiencing. It does get easier. I won't say better. It just gets easier to cope with it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist. I don't have a degree in any of this stuff. I have a degree in life experiences. And I've had, unfortunately, my fair share of dealing with death before the age of 16. There was a family of 5, my mother, my father, my sister, and my brother. My parents were in the military. But there was a point where we moved from San Francisco back home to New Jersey. My family's from New Jersey. When we had to move back home, and I, as a child, I didn't understand like what that was and why it was. I just felt like we were just moving again because that's what military families do. We move every 3 to 4 years or something like that. So it was just, that's what I thought about it. But then when I got back to New Jersey, shortly not long after, my sister passed away. And I think I showed you a picture, but just in case I didn't. No, I didn't. This is her. This is my baby sister. Her name was Latrina. And a lot of people don't know that I have a sister, or I had a sister. She would be in her 30s now, because I'm 42. But I lost her a long time ago, and it was a year, like shortly after she passed away, my mother passed away too. And then 1 month before I had my son, almost, to the day, my father passed away. So imagine growing up as a child, and then by the time you're 16, your mother, your father, and your sister is gone, and you're now living in a household full of people, uncles and aunts, and your grandmother, and you have to grow up from there after you just came back from living over across the United States. You had your own room and all this stuff, and now you're home in this new place, and you have to share space with all these people, and it's like, and now I don't have my mother or my father here. What is this? How do you deal with it? You just, as a child, I remember just dealing with it, right? No one ever sat down and talked to me about death. Even after my sister passed away, no one talked to me about this stuff. No one said, hey, Rhea, maybe a guidance counselor asked me, and I was just like, I'm fine, because I'm a child. How are you gonna ask me? I don't know what I'm processing. I don't know anything about emotions. I'm a kid. So I'm like, hey, we live in the moment. As a child, you live in the moment. So you're just dealing with that. In that moment, I was happy. I was okay. In that moment, in those moments when people talk to me about the stuff, I was good. So that's where it came off to seeming to other people that I was so strong. And how my brother even asked me, he's like, how did you deal with the loss of mom and dad? You just seem to be so, keep yourself together. And I just was like, I just never felt like they were gone. I don't know. And I still don't feel like they're gone. I still feel like my dad is around me often. And it's funny that I'm sitting here holding my hands like this because I kind of feel him here now. My dad's always with me. And so after my parents passed away, death visited my family almost on a yearly basis for quite a few many years after that. And we lost so many people that I would literally have to sit down with my brother and my cousin and try to land, like, because they're both Capricorns. They have a mind like an elephant. They don't forget nothing. And they would be the ones that I would want to sit down with and say, if I ever wanted to map out who died what, when, and how, just to map it out, I couldn't do it myself. I would not be able to say who died when, but I could say that we used to do it, go to a funeral every year And it was like, to a point where people were like, oh, we have more funerals than family reunions. Family reunions, the funerals are considered family reunions nowadays, and we were just waiting for that moment where we could just go 2 years without losing someone. And so I've dealt with death a lot in my life. And it was, it could be suddenly. I've lost people from, suicide. I've lost people because they were sick. And I've lost people through drugs and alcohol. It doesn't matter. Death does not have, death is not prejudice. And, people don't know how they're going to pass away for the most part, or when, unless you're on death row, right? Or unless you're being put to sleep in that way. Unless you are laying on a bed, a life support system, and family members say, hey, listen, it's time to take you off. There's no specific way or formula that prepares yourself on how to deal with death. There's no manual, right? But what I will say is that don't ever let anybody tell you how long you are supposed to grieve. You grieve in the way that makes the most sense for you, and you do it on your terms, right? If you want to sit there and you want to cry, because it's something that you have to let out. I don't suggest covering it up, right? And just saying, oh, well, it happens. You have to give yourself the, time to process the loss, because as energy beings, right? We all walking around here with an individual auric field, and when we get into a relationship with someone, it interconnects, it intertwines with that other person. And so when we separate, whether it be your friend, whether it be a mother or father or a significant other, or whether it be a breakup or something more finite, which is death, physical death, the energy is getting pulled away from you, and that is painful. It can manifest itself into some pain, like legit physical pain in your body. I remember a breakup caused me physical pain in my heart more than, the loss of my sister. And I feel like I was not able to really process, my sister's passing, because I really didn't feel like I had a chance to cultivate that relationship. We really didn't intertwine too much to where it wasn't so painful when she passed away, or I didn't have the knowledge. I just didn't understand it. But then when I was older and the more I was able to process the stuff, I just recognized that, okay, my parents aren't here physically anymore, but I could still talk to them, and I still find other ways of relating to them and keeping them alive in my heart and my mind and my soul. They're still there, and I just never felt like my parents were gone. I never felt like they were 100% gone. I just knew that they weren't here physically anymore. So I just felt the need to come on here and say that, when it's time to deal with something like this so unexpectedly, for people, if you're dealing with someone who has lost someone that was close to them, hold space for them. Let them grieve. Don't tell them how to, let them talk to you. Listen to what they're saying. Be there for them and hold that space for them to process that loss. And for the person experiencing the loss, let it out. Let it pour out of your heart. Scream, cry, do whatever it is that you're going to do. Only thing that I will say or suggest is when you felt like you can't cry anymore, this is where the healing process comes in. And it's time to, move on with your life in the best way that you know how. Now, I'm not saying it's good. Your life is completely changed forever. It's never going to be the same. And you have to now take on this new experience in life, this new way of living without the person that you love so much. We cannot take people for granted. We cannot take those relationships for granted. We have to come on and make sure that we tell people every single day how much they mean to us. Don't let the time go by without sharing that part of how you feel with other people that you love, because you never know when it's going to be time for them to go. I, unfortunately, was able to grow up and take all my experiences that I've dealt with and turn it into something positive, and has brought me here, sitting here in front of this video, talking to you about how to deal with death. No one, like I said, there's no manual, there's no specific formula. The only thing I can say is let those feelings come out. Hold that space for the person who's dealing with it, and just do the best that you can to be a supportive family member, friend, significant other for someone who's experiencing the loss. Because no matter if it's a breakup, no matter if it's physical, no matter if the person has just moved across the United States and is no longer, for whatever reason, going to be a part of your journey anymore, that's still painful. And it's still something that needs to be processed and released. We have to learn to process this pain and let it go. Don't hold on to it, because your family members, your loved ones don't want to see you unable to live because they're gone. And I also would like to say that think of it as you're doing them a great service by processing the hurt, processing the loss, and letting go. Because I like to think of when people pass away, they call back all of their energy that's needed, necessary for them to ascend. I like to think of it like them pulling it all back, and then they're going to wherever it is that they want to go, wherever whatever happens when you pass away. So the longer that we hold on to it, the harder they have to work to move on. I don't know that this is true, but this is how I deal with it, right? I have to let them cross that bridge. I cannot hold them here by mourning and saying that I'm never going to get over it. Because, I mean, I know that they probably would still ascend regardless, but think of it like that. Think of it as when you let go of being emotionally hurt and upset by this, when you finally process, give yourself the time that is needed to process the loss, and you finally say, okay, now I can stand up, now I can go back to work, now I can move on with my life. You're doing them a favor by doing that, because your family members want you to be happy. They want you to be, thriving. Just don't let it knock you down for good. Process it, process it, and heal from it, and let it go. I'm sure I'm going to end up coming back on here another time to do another video at some point to, just talk about this stuff. But I just felt the need that I had to come on here today and say that, through my experiences with death, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is life after death. There is life here on this planet after death. You will be okay. You will thrive again, but just give yourself that time to process this loss. Give yourself the time that's needed, and don't let anyone ever tell you. Don't let anyone ever tell you. Don't let anyone ever tell you. I was looking at the wrong part of the camera, but I want to get this home. Don't ever let anyone tell you how long you have to process someone passing away that you cared a lot about. Don't let nobody tell you that. You process it the way that you want to process it. Just don't let it take over your life. Get back to thriving. That's where your loved ones want to see you. They want to see you thriving and living your best life, and however that may be for you after losing someone that you really care about. And I'm going to say it again. I know what it's like. I've been down this road. I've been down this road way too many times, and I'm thankful. I can say that at 42 years old, that I am very thankful for having to have gone through that in my life, because that has shaped me into who I am today, and why I'm standing here in front of you guys, telling you and sharing my experiences and saying that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You will survive. You will come back to thriving. You will. I know you can. But just allow yourself that time to process the loss. Grieve, however that may be for you. Just don't stay down and don't let it take over your life, because you have a lot of life left to live. Okay? Thank you so much for sitting on it, listening all this time. This is one of the longer videos. Thank you. I appreciate everyone who took the time out to listen to my words. If you have any comments, if you have anything that you want to say, it could be good or bad, I'm open to receiving whatever, because I like to talk about this stuff, and I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track. And if you have some comments that you want to say back, you can shoot me a message in DM, or you can make a comment on my YouTube channel, or I send me a message through my IGTV or Instagram. And I love to talk about this stuff, because if it means that it's going to help you grow and evolve into a more well-rounded, well-grounded human being, then that's my intention. That's what I want to do. So get back to living my life. And lots of love and light to you guys. And again, thank you so much for being here with me.